Hello and welcome to another edition of Motor Cars Enthusiasts. We're right off the bat on the old show today. The Fiat 500 1957 edition. Yes, this is a little tip of the hat that Fiat's doing to the first generation of the Cinquecento Fiat 500 model. Now this thing comes with a lot of special edition type parts, especially a lot of parts to give it that real retro look, and especially those wheels, which are pretty doggone cool looking. All new interiors, slick little package. This vehicle will be making its official debut at the LA Motor Show just in a handful of days. And this vehicle will be going to Fiat dealerships very, very soon, which is great news for Fiat dealerships, especially that they're only selling this model, so they need every special edition that Fiat could come up with. This vehicle will come with the 1.4-liter multi-air turbocharged 4-cylinder, and it will be mated to either a 5-speed automatic, no, I should say 6-speed automatic, or a 5-speed manual transmission. Next up on the list, Porsche is celebrating their 50th anniversary of building road cars, and they've been celebrating with building some 50th anniversary vehicles. But there's rumors floating about that there may be an homage to an old one, back to the old 550 Speedster. Maybe going to be a lot like the little Spider from the little Boxster Spider that they built. Remember with that weirdo fabric roof that didn't cover much of anything and all super lightweight type stuff. Maybe even a little bit of an homage to the 550 Speeder from back in the 50s. We'll wait and see what Porsche has up their sleeve on this deal. But if they do build this on the 911 platform, this thing is going to be super cool. Next up on the list, well, we all remember the DeTomaso Pantera group. Well, it was about this time last year that the group that actually bought this particular brand actually folded up and shut their doors for good. Well, apparently a brand new group has received ownership of this particular brand, bought all the rights, all the tooling, all the parts and pieces that were already being put together to be building these automobiles, and start testing to build a production version. This group is called the ATS Autosport Group, and it's a little Italian auto manufacturer, which I had never heard of until I did a little bit of research on. This particular group builds this car, which is the 2500 GT, which is a fantastic looking little automobile. So I can't wait to see what they may have up their sleeve with the new DeTomaso brand, so this ought to be pretty doggone exciting. Next up on the list, well, the McLaren P1 has just got everybody frothing at the mouth to own one of these automobiles. Well, if you were still itching to get one, or trying to come up with the cash, sad news, it's too late. All 399 units have been sold and been accounted for. I'm just waiting for McLaren to finish up building the rest of the units and being sent out to their brand new owners. So if you were itching to get one, sad, it's too late. Unless they build another edition of this, or a successor, or maybe another model year of this, which is very unlikely. You won't be able to get your hands on one of these unless you buy one used, which means you're going to pay a hefty premium. Next up on the list, this little Devel 16 has just taken over the interwebs, driven it absolutely crazy. One of the subscribers here at Motor Cars actually sent some nice information. Got to thank him a bunch for this particular stuff, especially some of the stuff he brought attention to. Like the brake and tire package, which looks very, very cheap on this particular automobile. I think my car's got more stopping power than this vehicle does. Now, the interesting deal in the couple of interviews that were sent over was pretty interesting stuff, especially the whole nonchalant type deal about what this automobile is all about. That they think it's going to be very, very easy to achieve 350 miles an hour. Very, very easy to achieve 5,000 brake horsepower. Now, we do have some official info, if you will, that the V16 will be quad turbocharged. Yes, four turbochargers, much like the Bugatti Veyron. Now, they're also talking about you can actually adjust the horsepower numbers, which is not unheard of when it comes to automobilia, about switching some power numbers. The 5,000 brake horsepower, you can select that, maybe even 3,000 brake horsepower. Or like the guy in the interview had said, 1,200 brake horsepower, like if you were headed down to the store or some of the local shops around town. Yeah, that's what you need 1,200 horsepower for. The group are also talking about building the entire automobile themselves. All this vehicle is going to be built in the Arab Emirates in every part and piece, even including the tires of this vehicle, which is going to be a big specialty, because there's absolutely no road-going tire that can handle 350 miles an hour, which means this thing is going to be monster expensive if they actually build every section of this vehicle themselves. So we'll keep it we'll keep it in tune if this thing ever makes it, but the way they're talking about the whole horsepower and the 350 mile an hour being easy, yeah, I'm thinking they're in for a rude awakening on this particular situation. Not to mention, they said that the road-going version or the production car is going to be a lot smaller and lighter and will look nothing like this car. Weird situation. The whole situation's weird. We'll keep you in tune. Fantastic news if you're a fan of the Nurburgring. Apparently, they've got a brand new buyer. The ADAC, Europe's largest automobile club, is actually in talks and in the initial stages of purchasing the famed racetrack. Now, they're only going to own the 2 circuits, actually being the Nordschleife Loop and the Southern Loop. None of the attractions that are in and around it. But, you know what? This is fantastic news. To hate to think that maybe future generations will never be able to see this, one of these classic corners, this being the carousel, the first carousel. It's a fantastic facility, and it would be a shame if this would all go away. So, if you're really a little bit nervous maybe about an automobile club owning this particular facility, remember, the Circuit de la Sarthe, which is the home of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, is owned by an automobile club. Also, the British Drivers Club, they own the Silverstone Grand Prix circuit. Now, they have done fantastic jobs with owning both of those facilities. So, I think this is just a win-win deal. And I cannot wait till these fellas get a hold of this particular facility. Maybe great news for this facility heading forward. Next up on the list, well, you all know these 3 chaps. This is Richard Hammond, Jeremy Clarkson, and James May. These fellows are the presenters of UK's version of the Top Gear program. Now, they were actually doing some filming down in France, and they got popped for speeding. At least a couple of them, obviously not Captain Slow. Richard Hammond was the head speeder, driving a GT3 911. He was clocked doing 88 miles an hour in a 55 mile an hour zone. Jeremy Clarkson was driving the brand new Aston Martin Vanquish, and he got popped doing 87 miles an hour in a 55 mile an hour zone. Now, by the time the camera crew and James May got to the scene, the French police had actually stripped James and Richards of all their monies, every cent they had on them. Not to mention they stripped them of both of their driver's license, and then announced to the camera crew that these 2 chaps, being Richard Hammond and James May, were banned from driving in France for 3 months. This ought to be a hilarious edition of the next generation, or the next season of Top Gear, so it ought to be very, very interesting. This will be coming soon, the next season. And last up on the list, some very, very sad news out of the Baja 1000, the 1,000-mile off-road race down the Baja Peninsula. This particular fellow, which is Kurt Caselli, famous KTM factory motorcycle racer, actually succumbed to injuries on a high-speed part of the circuit, actually at lap 792, or I should say mile marker 792 of the circuit. Very high-speed part of the circuit. Actually had a very high-speed accident, had some massive head injuries that were actually resulted in his later demise, that he passed away from those injuries. This, at the beginning, was talked about as being a booby trap incident. As this happens in Baja, it also happens a lot in rallying, where folks will actually booby trap the actual course with little things that to impede the racer's progress, which is just an absolute jerk move. It's also been talked about that KTM says that there was a lot of residue on the machine, the motorcycle that he was riding, that maybe quite possibly he had struck some of the local wildlife, meaning an animal of some sort. In either case, all of our prayers, all of us here at Motorcars Enthusiasts, send out our prayers to Mr. Caselli's family, friends. He was a heck of a motorcycle racer, many-time champion, many-time race winner, and many-time medal winner at the X Games. So, a heck of a rider. It was sad to see this news come out of the Baja 1000. And that's all there was that I thought was worth talking about for this week's Motorcars Enthusiast. If you want to jump on over to the Facebook page, the link's down in the show notes. Also, if you want to subscribe to the channel, you can get the first dibs on the brand new shows as soon as they come out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again real soon.